Suicide Squad is a new DC movie that happened right after Batman v Superman. In this movie, the government decides it's a good idea to have some metahumans in their pocket in case the next guy who is as powerful as Superman decides to, be evil. Now in this movie we have some key players. We have Amanda Waller being the government official who knows everything, is in charge of every black ops thing, and is not to be trifled with. She was a fantastic character, and it was fun to see that character finally realize in the movies and ultimately not be that newest version, which is this model-esque lady that they have in the comics, but closer back to her original roots. I really appreciated that. As for the other characters, we have people in here like Deadshot, who never misses, played by Will Smith. He totally kills it. I was very happy to see Will Smith kind of back at it. He had that great line of humor, he had some great give and take with all the rest of the cast, and ultimately his character had a lot of pull that I really could get behind. Next to that, we got Margaret Robbie as Harley Quinn. The only time I've ever really seen her before was in Wolf of Wall Street. She was the wife, and ultimately she was a really fun character. I really felt like I was watching a Harley when I was watching this movie. It didn't feel like someone else trying to play Harley. It felt like Harley. And I was very happy to see her portrayal. Not necessarily happy with the outfit choice, but they give me some callbacks to her original outfit, and I'm okay with that. Outside of that, we also have Jai Courtney playing Captain Boomerang. He was awesome. I love villains from the Flash Rose Gallery. He's one of the most notable of them. He was the character I was wanting to see. He was a little rougher than I expected, but he was still hilarious. I loved him. And then the standout guys obviously had to be El Diablo. That man earns his name. Oh my god, El Diablo was awesome. And then Killer Croc. Killer Croc was great. His makeup job, fantastic. His voice really super deep. And just monstrous. Other characters like Katana are in there, and Enchantress. I'm not going to go too much into them because ultimately they were interesting but not as memorable as these other guys. Now this story involves Amanda Waller assembling this team, dropping them into a city to handle a problem, but Amanda Waller won't tell anyone what the actual situation is because she's government and they're criminals. Why would you tell them anything? So it's up to these heroes to go and fix this problem, save the day, and try to not die in the process. This movie was a lot of fun for me to watch. It was a different route than Batman v Superman, but it really helps expand that universe, and it kind of gives me an idea as styles go of what they're willing to do. Because the style of this movie was so different than Batman v Superman, I can't help but be excited for other DC movies. Ultimately, this story was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed what the characters had to go through, what type of things all brought them together. Because of how the trailers had presented this movie, I wasn't quite sure how the storyline itself was going to play out, and it kind of kept me on my toes. So I was very excited to see that I ultimately couldn't call exactly where this movie was going. Even though, that being said, after watching the first 5 minutes of this movie, you can extrapolate what the major points of the movie are. That being said, onto the wild card, Joker. Jared Leto's Joker. Now Joker in this movie was the wild card. We didn't know quite how he was going to fit in, but he ultimately kept wrecking shit. And that was fun for me. He plays a mafioso type character in this movie. It was not unwarranted or unwelcome, it was just different than what I was expecting. And ultimately, I liked him. My personal favorite type of Joker is the one who's so psychologically gone that he wears it on his sleeve, and you can see it on him from a mile away. But this Joker was a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing him in more movies. I look forward to seeing Jared Leto in more stuff, period. And I really liked how his story arc fit in with Harley Quinn's and ultimately fit in with everyone else. Ultimately, this movie was a good step in the right direction for DC. I liked how they presented their characters, how they presented their story. Everything kind of had cohesion to it. Their soundtrack was on point. Next to Guardians of the Galaxy, this movie probably has one of my favorite soundtracks ever. The only flaws I can find with this, outside of some personal preferences with the Joker, was that the reshoots kind of stick out and make the pacing a little off. But outside of that, it was a great movie. I highly suggest anyone watches it, especially if you like your DC universe. And spoiler fact, there's a cameo by the Flash in there. It's a quick one, but it's there. My name is Golden, and this is Midas Touch.